Happy New Year and welcome to 2025, all you P2P cash lovers and green-eyed liberty loving fiends. We hope you all had a relaxing and recuperating Christmas so that you are well rested and charged up for the best year yet for Freedom Cash and the hardest money that has ever existed. But now it's time to put down the mulled wine and mince pie and pull up our wellies as we get stuck into the most critical phase of the fight for decentralized freedom. And to kick it all off in the very first episode of Fiendish Friends this year, we start with an absolute banger straight out of the gate with the true warriors of the mission. So joining us today, we have the BCH Bulls, John Nieri, imaginary username, and Jonathan Silverblood might be coming if he can manage to pull out the BCH Bliss crew, which is unlikely, but hey, let's keep our fingers crossed. So yes, that's right. The number one BCH app and DeFi team is here, General Protocols, to talk about several topics, including BCH Bull and any hedge, the tech that drives it, XO Wallet and Stack and its vision for the ecosystem, BCH 2025 State of the Union, and what is planned this year to bring us another step closer towards worldwide usage and adoption. Are you excited? I know I am. Not only do you get to listen to the hottest people in the space, but Fiendish Friends is rewarding its live listeners with up to 50,000 Emerald. Just listen live and retweet this space. More details can be found on our Twitter profile or in the Fiendish Friends Telegram group. First up, this week in the news, be wary of your heroes. Elon Musk's comments on H-1B immigration faces backlash on Twitter, leading to the deplatforming of several prominent critics, including having their premium account, ticker, and subscriptions removed from them. Regardless of the take on the situation, Elon's ability to financially punish or silence his opponents has spooked many, putting Twitter's free speech stance under the spotlight, and again highlighting the critical need for decentralized protocols such as Nostr or Bitcoin Cash to protect against the perils of centralization and essentially to protect against human nature. On the topic of decentralization, BCHD, an alternative Bitcoin Cash full node implementation written in Go, released an upgrade to bring it back into consensus with the ecosystem, offering critical decentralized choice to BCH node operators in the software they choose to run. Mario USD, the first over-collateralized stablecoin on BCH, triggered its first liquidation of a BCH loan that was under 110% over-collateralization, ensuring that the peg was maintained even during the recent market pullback that saw BCH price drop in double-digit percentages, showcasing Mario's dependability and stability during high market volatility. That was the news, and now for the main event and why everyone is here. Please welcome John Nieri and Uname to the mic. Hi, guys, and thanks for using your meeting time to join us today.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for inviting us.
Hello, yes. Oh, it's an honor. It's a privilege. Did you guys manage to get some well-needed downtime over the holidays? Did you have a break?
Some of us did.
Sort of.
Sort of. We do a lot of things, right? There's GP that we do, and yeah, take a break a bit. But then there's also other things that we work on, right? So yeah, one thing falls off and one thing picks up. But yeah, I took some days off, spent some time with family. I did.
Good. It's important, I think, because we're in for the marathon. This isn't a sprint, as we've now really learned the hard way. We're not going to get worldwide usage.
I mean, it's a marathon where you're constantly reminded that things are on fire all the time. So, yeah.
Yes, things are constantly on fire all the time, but hopefully there's been a little less fire out or putting out of fires over the last 12 months, or even now 24 months, as we've worked towards building forwards. As we mentioned just before we started, the 2-year curse or the biannual curse of things imploding on BCH seems to have come to an end.
Yeah, Uname identified that curse, and much earlier on, many years ago, right when many of us were still smoking a bit of copium and being like, everything's fine, split, whatever, BSV split, ABC split, whatever, price down, whatever.
The last time I thought this was over was 2022, and we're like, okay, so it doesn't look like there's gonna be a chain split or a consensus split of any kind. We should be safe. Everything will be fine from now on. And then we realized that we not only had to be careful about chain splits, we also have to guard against major scams. So there's that. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, it's been
Well,
it's been
the fact that things have stabilized and become solid is not at all an accident, right? There's a lot of discussions with other coins that won't be named, and people to some degree representing those coins, and they really have no clue what it means to face adversity in a coin and maintaining a network and actually keeping it decentralized. And man, there's nobody else who's done that, what BCH has done, and still come out, smelling not too bad, doing all right. So yeah, man, it's not an accident. We've learned a lot. We've got the bruises, the scars, and we know what we're doing, and keep getting better. So yeah, no accidents.
You know what we're doing so far.
Yeah, and this is one thing I think is quite obvious for me when I think about like benefits of centralization and the benefits of decentralization. If you centralize something, centralize a project, it's kind of easier to survive those storms. If you have a very strong leader at the top and someone that, the project belongs to someone, they can throw money in it and win that case. But of course, as we all know in BCH, why centralization is incredibly dangerous, especially when it comes to money. It's just not even worth thinking about. So the decentralized approach, I think it has to go through those battle scars. It has to learn how to to remain decentralized, and being decentralized does make it harder to justify the sort of investments that a centralized entity will have, especially when it's started up by a very rich person that can issue the coins themselves. And BCH has done that, and it survived the all of the issues that have happened since 2017 up to 2022. And since 2022, it's been now 2 wonderful years of forward-looking progression, as you say, John. It's been planned and orchestrated to be like that. It wasn't by an accident. And for me, it sets BCH up for the best year yet. There's a lot of foundations that have been laid now. And it's just, for me, the critical part is moving that forward, getting the people actually using the tools that we've got out there, because I think today it really is the case. There are a lot of tools. There's a lot of fun to be had within the ecosystem, and a lot of interesting things to be doing there. That can justify then the next wave of investment. But before we get sidetracked onto that, I would like for everyone that listens to this, to understand a little bit about you guys. So General Protocols is one of the most important enterprises in BCH today. BCH Bull, one of their products, has by far the highest total value locked than any other DeFi platform or tool in the BCH ecosystem. So they're very important. And anyone in Bitcoin Cash has either used or at least heard of your products and services. But the idea of this Fiendish Friends is also to reach out and make sure that the new people also understand not only what the services are, what they offer, but who are the people behind them. So that's what I'd love to know now. And I'm sure that many in BCH probably aren't aware of the people behind BCH Bull and General Protocols. So yeah, who are you guys? What's your vision and mission that you bring to Bitcoin Cash?
Man, I wish we had Jonathan here, because he always gives a rousing, a war speech for this kind of thing. But I'll do a little bit for my part. I'd say all of us see the future of what's possible and what we want to achieve with Bitcoin Cash, with permissionless money for the world. And we've seen it for a long time. And we've seen a lot of tribulations. And as Jim, who's on here right now, just said, it's a trial by fire. We've all kind of been through that. But everybody's still here. All the people that are working hard on it are still here through a lot of hard times, good times also, but hard times. And we just want to see that possibility realized, of what it means to have a global money for the world that's separated from the state, right? That's to the greatest degree possible, independent and not subject to, I don't know, something like the fiat tyranny, the fact that the government of the place that you live can just inflate your money away, and they can decide if you actually own your money or not. They can make decisions about that. You can just suddenly not be in possession of the money that you thought you were in possession of, and so forth. So we'd like to really see that realized, and we think it's necessary as a counterbalance to a lot of the insanity that's just keeps ramping up day by day. Yeah, so we're here to see that realized, to see the vision of Bitcoin realized, permissionless money for the world.
Great, thank you. Then I assume Uname by your side, and you haven't got anything to add to that. John's ticked all the boxes there from your perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that it's not enough to just know what you want. It is also important to make sure that what you want aligns with what's the best and the most efficient for yourself and other people. So we want a lot of things. We want permissionlessness. We want privacy. We want the money to be free and independent, among other things. But it's not very useful if you preserve all those characteristics and the money that you got is just not. It just doesn't work very well, and it could be one of many reasons. It's not flexible enough. It's not liquid enough. It's not adopted in enough different use cases and things like that. Then it's not. You got what some of what you want, but then what you want turns out to be not very useful. Then it compromises your original vision. So not only do we need to know what we want, we also need to work hard towards it. So,
man, that's something that I think really sets Bitcoin Cash apart. And for people who are coming from the outside, they won't be able to see it at all. But anybody who can see what's going on in Bitcoin Cash understands that it's really a kind of practical network. It's not the do things that are only idealistic. It's not do things that are only going to make a quick buck. It's do the things that are going to make this be solid, survive for a long time, be popular, be useful, actually be used, etc. Like, it's a balance of all the things. To be successful, you can't just do one thing well. You got to do all the things well.
Yeah, the pragmatic Bitcoin. I like this. And this is something what keeps me attracted very much to the BCH community. So sometimes when I'm writing on Telegram and understand with written form, the tone is maybe lost. Sometimes when I challenge certain aspects or ask certain questions to understand about where we're at with certain things, but such as privacy. So privacy is an incredibly important part. Is BCH the number one in privacy? No. Does that mean it's not the number one coin? No, it is the number one money out there because it takes this practical approach. And it has all the different areas of what's important in mind, and the community as a whole is then dedicating the resources where it thinks is going to lead to exactly what you're talking about, that best compromise at the moment. Because if you have one feature that's absolutely the best and stand out and the best in its class in all of cryptocurrencies, but it's not used by anyone, or it has some other deficiencies such as it can't scale or you can't have smart contracts, whatever, then it doesn't matter, and it's irrelevant. And I think this very pragmatic approach is why I'm as convinced today, or actually more convinced today than ever. And that's being honest, because we've had a rough couple of years. More convinced today than ever that Bitcoin Cash is the most likely, by far, of all the coins out there to become a world-used, mass-used cryptocurrency. And I've spent some time delving into others. Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Sorry, I was just going to say that Uname was saying, imagine a username, we just call him Uname, has have to be practical. We have to actually make sure that we do the right things and we focus on the right things. We can't just be all totally idealistic about it. But at the same time, all those things that you said are really possible with Bitcoin Cash because it does have a clear vision, right? That vision is there and it's solid. And it's shocking how much of crypto, I don't want to say percents, but 99 plus maybe, people and coins and so forth really don't have a clear vision, or at least not one that they can say publicly. And I love that about Bitcoin Cash, that we know where we're going, we know what we want to achieve, and that we're going to be practical about getting there. It's not magic. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but we're going to get there.
You made me laugh there because let's face it, for 99.99% of the coins, the reason why people are in it is for one reason and one reason only: money, getting other people's money, and in a zero sums game. And that's also why, of course, everyone here wants to be making profit, and anyone that says different is lying. But the reason why we all stick around is because there's something much grander than just making a cheap buck, and certainly not making a cheap buck of selling a pretty stone to some other fool. So yeah, great. So thank you for that, and it's a bit of understanding about who you guys are. And I'd like to go to talk about like one of your the most popular product that you've released, BCH Bull. You recently posted, so it's back in November, so I guess this is old numbers now, but you posted that BCH Bull had over 500,000 BCH in total volume. I mean, this is an insane amount of transactions since the app's been launched. Yeah, how would you explain, just, as a sort of a high level summary so anyone that's listening can understand, how would you explain BCH Bull to someone that is new to the ecosystem and has no experience in what BCH Bull has to offer?
So there's a lot of ways to look at this, but the fundamental way that we came at it from the beginning, which has changed somewhat, but the fundamentals of what we came from is even people who really want to use cryptocurrency because they understand the fundamentals of it, the value of it, permissionless money, that it's money that you own and so forth. Even people who understand that, they still face the problem of purchasing power volatility. Purchasing power just means, okay, I've got all this crypto, but, the number of hamburgers that I can buy with it changes drastically on a day-to-day basis. And because Bitcoin Cash is about being a
You mean hot
practical
dogs?
coin,
Sorry, just to
hot
correct you.
dogs, sorry, hot dogs, my bad. The number of big Costco hot dogs that you can buy can change drastically from day to day, right? And for people who have, disposable income, that's okay. But Bitcoin Cash is for everyone. And so for someone who doesn't have, money that they can just throw out, but they still want to use it, volatility is a ugly problem because sometimes it goes in your favor and all of a sudden you've got a mountain of hot dogs, and then the next day you're barely scraping by with the number of hot dogs. So yes, the original purpose was to provide some way to solve this stability problem, which is the purchasing power. I can put money into the AnyHedge, the BCH Bull, these contracts, and you put money in, and that money is worth, your BCH is worth, say, like 100 hot dogs at the beginning, and by the end of the contract, it's still worth 100 hot dogs, even though, 1 month has gone by or 3 months have gone by. And that can be, US dollars. Seriously speaking, US dollars, euros, gold, silver, all of those different things. You can get that stability in those. And you get that together with it being non-custodial and maintaining and using all those properties of BCH. So there's a lot of solutions where you're like, okay, I want to have some kind of purchasing power stability. I want stability. But to get it, you've got to go to a custodian who's going to hold your money and promise you, bro, that they're going to give it back, which is a bank, right? In one form or another. Or you have to go to some kind of service that makes some significant compromises on, well, trust me in one way or another. And so this goes to the greatest degree you can to just say, no, it all works based on Bitcoin Cash, based on smart contracts. It's as secure as the network itself, and the stability is as secure as the network itself. So that's the fundamental idea, is to provide a stability solution for people so that they can not have to worry about the volatility of crypto prices. That's the fundamental. And then from there, that is only possible to the degree that you marry people who want stability and people who want to speculate. Because to get stability, that volatility has got to go somewhere. So that volatility gets traded off to people who want volatility, who want more volatility. And so that's the genius of the design that Uname came up with, is just that, pairing people together who want stability and want volatility, want more volatility.
Yeah, thanks. And how is that pairing going on? Like looking at it today, you started off, it's BCH Bull. The marketing was pretty clear. If you're aiming for the bulls within BCH, so I guess you're getting a lot more money on the long side of BCH. You opened up then the sort of the meme site of BCH Bear, which I thought was brilliant to link to BCH Bull, so you could get the bears in there. But today, how is that pairing match? Have you got liquidity, that you require from both sides, or are you having some challenges there?
Yeah, no, it's like you said before, 500,000 BCH of volume, so that's something like 220 million USD average, something like that. It depends, right, on when you counted the price of things. So it's a lot. There's a lot going through there, and it's not just one-sided. It can't be. It doesn't work like that. And it works like all, very smart things do. It works on incentives. As tons of BCH bulls, like you were saying, which is, it's a bit of marketing just to say, hey, everybody who's in BCH, you've got this thing available to you. You surely should think about using it in one way or another. And these people come in, maybe they do all want to be long, but as you want to be long, as more people want to go on one side, that side becomes more expensive. And, if everybody thinks that's the way things are going to go, then the people on the other side are in a great position. The people who think, wait, that may not be the best decision. And they can start to charge to be paired in those contracts, right? So if everybody wants to be on one side and I'm on the other side, I'm in a great position. I can charge them as much as I want. And so it balances itself out. That's the incentives. As things get out of balance, people come in to start charging for those contracts and take the other side of things. So it balances itself out naturally through incentives. And where you would see that normally is in things like interest rates. That would be the rough equivalent of things, As people want to borrow and are long on something, the interest rates will move up and down based on sentiment of whether that's a good decision or a bad decision.
I remember in 2022 at the BCH conference in St. Kitts and Nevis, one of the comments, if I remember correctly, from Roger Ver was, is just skepticism at that time of any hedge and I don't think BCH Bull was out then, but it was certainly of any hedge in the contracts that were going to be put in place. Because with any smart contract, there's always the risk, and wait until see how this actually runs. So you guys have been running now for, is it just under 2 years now? With BCH Bull. And my question is, was any of that fear warranted? Like, or because from what I've experienced, BCH Bull has been incredibly stable. I've not heard anyone make any complaints about any money that was lost. But is that the reality that you've experienced? That it's been an incredibly stable platform, even with huge price increases of volatility.
We spend a lot of effort making sure.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm sorry, the audio cut out for me for a second.
We can hear you now. Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you both.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna assume that you can hear me. Yes, things have been stable. We worked our asses off to make it safe and stable and to be secure, and as I said, to not have these points of trust. So, that's half the point, or huge part of the point is that you don't have to really trust somebody very much to use these things. There's the oracles, which is a significant issue. But besides those, it depends on the BCH network and the smart contract. And we've worked very hard, which was the subject of the Bliss presentation that I gave last year on contract security and doing formal validations of contracts and so forth. So yeah, it's been secure. It's been running fine. It's been smooth. I'm not sure what the concerns were, but that's part of the magic of choosing the right business to be in, is that you choose one that's practical, just like everything with BCH. You don't choose one that's maybe your favorite thing that you would love to achieve 10 years from now. You look at all the things that are available, what people need today, and you choose the one that's going to get you the most of everything you want. And that's what BCH Bull does, right? It goes in the direction that we want to go, which is non-custodial, not having to have accounts. You just work with, yourself and your counterparty. That's it. You're working with permissionless money. You're working on smart contracts. Nobody else has control of your money. But it's a thing that people want to do, which is stability and speculation. So, it's kind of marrying the issues that are in front of you, and finding the best way forward towards the ultimate goal that you want to reach. So yeah, I think we were pretty confident that things would work, but it is a different matter to think things are going to work, and then to actually see $200 million of volume go through it is a bit of a mind fuck to see that go. And of course, we want to see it grow much more. And let me just go ahead and say, another part of the reason that we started General Protocols was just to be the one who breaks new ground, because that's how people are. Once you see somebody else do a thing and you're like, wait a minute, I could do that. And that's what we want. We want more entrepreneurs to come in and look and be like, wait, I can use permissionless money to start a business. I can use permissionless money to, run my business or to be part of the things that I do. And so, yeah, so I'm happy to see it going. And I hope people are having their eyes on it and thinking, hey, I'd like to do that too, because we want you to do it as well. It takes a network, and it takes a community to build things up. And we're looking for everybody to come in, and we hope that we're encouraging, and our success is encouraging others to jump in.
It's actually a really good point to think about another topic that is interesting me. So you're saying about you want to inspire people, other people look at what you're doing and join in with that, and inspiring entrepreneurs into the network, which is incredibly important. That was the reason why back in 2023 set up the Reddit hash tokens was for exactly that purpose. And with that in mind, so General Protocols, you guys are a sponsor of BCH Bliss conference in Ljubljana, with Jonathan being the main organizer behind the event. So is this part of that vision of encouraging builders to come together to the benefit of the ecosystem? And yeah, I'd love to understand a little bit about like what your thoughts are on that, and how that can actually improve or make it more attractive for people in the ecosystem to start coming in, building, and trying out their entrepreneurship. Okay, you should be able to speak, John. Did you hear that question?
I heard
Okay,
part of
good.
it.
Okay, the question was, yeah, so based on what you just said then about making it more attractive for builders, because they're looking at what you guys are doing. General Protocols is also a sponsor of the BCH Bliss conference in Ljubljana, and when I understand correctly, like that is the idea behind it then, and that's why you are sponsoring this conference, is for for that purpose. I'd just love to understand a little bit about, yeah, where you see the benefits of that conference, why you're sponsoring it, and what you've seen in 2024, and what you're hoping for in 2025 and beyond.
I'm gonna start that answer with a funny story. The origin of the Bliss conference was General Protocol's team deciding, hey, it would be because we're fully remote, right? And it's like, hey, we should, maybe once a year or something get together, and we have some really serious things we have to figure out and work on beyond our daily stuff that we work on. So let's get together and be in one place, like physically, so that we can have high bandwidth discussions and talk and yell at each other and whatnot. And so we started doing the planning for that. And then Jonathan was like, how about we tell other people that we're going to do it? It's like, okay, sure. Other people can come if they want. And he's like, what if we rented a room? And it's like, we're going to rent a room for GP and that's it. What if we had a little bit of a presentation? And I was like, no, okay, stop. And I said, if you want to do a conference, you can do a conference, but I don't have the bandwidth for it. And Jonathan was like, all right. And that went from there.
For the longest time, I thought the room is gonna be kind of small, and it would take like a few people and things like that. And then Jonathan made the room a lot bigger, like a lot bigger.
Jonathan really, man, when that guy, when he picks something up and he's like, I'm going to do this, it happens. So he's done it. And of course, it's not only him, but that's the seed of it was just that. And us wanting to have, conversations with other people. But then when it actually got to organization, man, he handled up on it and the thing happened. And so him and Ryan and Jeremy and other people are working hard on it and making it happen. And it's beautiful. Yes. So our sponsorship of it is basically us sponsoring Jonathan and the guys doing the thing, 1,000x what I had thought they were going to do, which is amazing. So really all the credit there goes to Jonathan and those guys for organizing Bliss. That's not really GP at all, except to the degree that, Jonathan has a platform to stand on because of GP. But no, those guys are doing it to make it happen. And yeah, I hope more people will come and they will see, oh my God, there's all this stuff going on with BCH. And maybe it's something that I can build on also. And on that point, I'm not sure if you have seen Mini Satoshi's. If you look on Twitter, it's _ Mini Satoshi. He has this new site which shows, BCH ecosystem, all these things. It's very fast. It's very nice. And you can really get a sense that, oh my God, there's a lot going on here. So yeah, it's all a virtuous circle, right? Us being successful, other people see that you're successful, other people want to come in, and then it just goes up from there.
Yeah. I think I couldn't agree more. Well, also, I can't remember if it was defined by Jonathan or if it was something I just in my head, but the way to measure the success of such a conference where it's about builders is what are the activities that happen over the next 12 months after that conference, like what new groups are formed or what corporations are there. um is there anything, I mean, I can't remember, I think this was from Jonathan, but have you guys, from your side, have you seen the fruits that have come out of that conference in Ljubljana in May this year, the last year?
The fruits that come out of it, of course, we were able to show people BCH Bull, have people use it, maybe gain a little confidence that it really is solid. Those things happen. Those things are very hard to measure, though. But from my perspective, right, and this is one of those perspectives where those of us working on GP are also in it for the bigger goals of Bitcoin Cash, and that means we're happy when other people are successful, right? In our ecosystem, even if they may be like partial or almost direct competitors, we're actually happy with that, right? We want to see the pie grow. We want to see everything growing. So from that angle, I've been incredibly happy after the conference. It's been very successful. The number of people interested is really, it's kind of cliched, but I can't keep up with everything that's going on. And I've said that for a long time, but it's really getting to the point that I actually have no idea who some people are who are doing important and interesting things. And I think a big part of that came from, of course, everything that's going on in BCH, but the people that came to BCH and presented, like yourself, like Mathieu, they present and they inspire other people. Other people jump in and that circle continues. So yeah, from that angle, it's been a great success. I've seen so much going on, more than I can keep up with by far.
What I notice is, other than one exception, every one of the people that were at BCH Bliss that I'm in contact with is more passionate about BCH today than ever. And I think for me, I think there is more positivity in the community overall, but it's hard to measure, as you say, and it's largely anecdotal. But I have clocked onto it. And one thing I'm absolutely convinced about is the reality that as much as we've got, there's a lot of people in the community that love the engineers and love uh, building and working very much on themselves as well, is that we're working in a social network, and what we achieve together is infinitely more than alone. Just thinking about general protocols, I'm sure that each one of you, you're all gifted and talented individuals, but I doubt very much if you would have accomplished a fraction of what you've accomplished today without working together. And as I understand, you guys also met at also a conference stroke get together to do with BCH. So it's really important. And I really hope to see more people, as you say, turn up to BCH Bliss this. I've got to get used to it this year. It's 2025. Damn it. Yeah, so the tickets go on sale on the 15th, as I understand. And I would love to see as many people go there as possible, because the more builders, the more action, the bigger the pie, as Emergent said, with there's competition out there, but it's not zero sums. The more people that are attracted to the ecosystem, everyone gets the benefit. But it's also wicked fun. 3 days of awesome conference actions. So tickets are on sale on 15th, and I will be one of the first people to get my ticket. So
There's also the incentives, right? There's also the incentives. People who want to build, who want to earn a profit, who want to start a business, who want to start some kind of organization. Getting in early is always an important thing. And this is not talking about a get rich quick scheme, right? This is talking about being an early mover in an industry is important. It's not the only thing, but it's very important. And if you play your cards well, you can be extremely successful by doing that. And the later people come to it, it's already going to be, the party's already started, and you're not the center of the party anymore if you come to it late. So yeah, there's an incentive for these builders in networks that are currently on fire, to put it bluntly, to maybe think about if there's somewhere else that they could build that would treat them better. Go somewhere that treats you well, the network that works well, treats your users well, treats you as a builder well. Yeah, builders should be paying attention. Entrepreneurs.
yeah, builders, entrepreneurs, or do you know what? I would also say people with money that want to team up with builders, entrepreneurs, everyone. I think you just put something on my mind there. About other networks burning, to paraphrase. And right now we've got hijacking Bitcoin is doing its rounds. That's definitely opened up a lot of eyes, from what I've seen, in people that were very pro the Bitcoin BTC narrative and store of value. Um, like, what do you think of the impact of that is? Do you think that, like, do you think the people's eyes are being made open as I see that? And do you think, or how do you think the BCH can best stand to profit from those eyes being made wide open, especially considering the builders?
I wish we could get Jeremy in here, because he loves to talk about this topic, and he's very good at talking about it. But you get a party started, you got to know what you're doing, you got to make it fun, have it attractive, make it work for people. But you don't get out there and beg people. The people that come in and are successful, the entrepreneurs that come in, they're going to make bank, and they're going to make reputations, generational reputations because what we're really pushing is Bitcoin, right? Is the original idea. So as much as people think it's now been around for a while, it's been stunted, right? So it's still at the early phases, and I'm not talking about price here, right? Also maybe about price, but I'm talking about people who went through the dot-com boom back in around 2000. They've seen this, where there's an explosion of stuff, and it's all like 99% garbage. But at the end of it, you got Google, you got Amazon, you got Tencent, you got Baidu, you got all of this absolute world straddling giants that came out of it. And the same thing is going to happen with this, with world money. So yeah, it's still early as far as entrepreneurs and builders coming in. Sorry if I kind of sidestepped your question there, but
No, not at all. It's great. It's just, yeah, for what I see of BCH is, and I love this cultural shift that's happening, is away from like the sort of unfairness of the world and how it's treated, to more like, what's the future, what's to come. And I agree entirely. It's exactly like the dot-com bubble. And the only thing that concerns me about that particular example is the fact, if you look at the top 10 or top 20 companies during the dot-com bubble, I don't believe that any company of those top 10 or top 20 exist today, or exist in any sort of wealth. So hopefully it won't be quite
that's the
identical to that.
position we're in right now. That's still somewhat the position we're in right now, right? The ones that look giant that might catch your eye if you came in and looked at the market with no idea what's going on, they're on fire. And it's not really visible necessarily until you get into it. But they're on fire for a reason, for very fundamental reasons. And, there may be some echoes of the .com boom where the ones that came out of it and took over the world are not the ones who looked the flashiest or the biggest in the middle of the boom.
Yeah, exactly. And if and using that example, there's pets.com, there's barbecues.com. There was a lot of stuff that was put onto websites and, really attractive domains that had huge amounts of value, but in monetary value, but it wasn't serving actually, or it wasn't leveraging the benefits of internet. And so they all went to zero, every single one. And there were so many of them. And this is why, using that analogy, for me, it's an obvious bet against Bitcoin. So theoretically, is it possible that Bitcoin, BTC, keeps its value and becomes a really good store of value? Yes, it's possible, right? And to paraphrase Roger Ver, it's also like a stinky sock, and this, could also become the same store of value. It's could happen. But it's very, very unlikely looking at all of the weight of evidence, especially looking at any history. And so anything that doesn't actually have a utility doesn't like leverage the technology or tools that it's using, it will head towards zero. It's just a matter of time, which is again why I'm so excited about Bitcoin Cash, because the community and everything, that its whole ethos is about leveraging that utility as much as possible and increasingly adding to that utility so it becomes even better, and over time, and the best form of money that will ever exist, or has ever existed at the very least. No, it definitely didn't sidestep the question. Love the answer. I see that time is cracking. I'm really excited. I guess lots of people are excited about XO. So in 2024, you teased a new wallet and software stack in XO. And since then, you've actually launched a website. So anyone can check that out, xo.cash. And this new stack is designed to enable developers to create their own products through a much simpler process in a safe and secure way. So in a nutshell, what is XO looking to solve?
Yeah, looking to solve two things. One is the thing that we've always done, which is, hey, we understand what's necessary for us and for Bitcoin Cash to go from where we are to the next level. And to go to the next level, we need all these things. And then not only do you have to know it, you have to actually put it in people's hands and make it available to them. It's not enough to just say or to show or anything like that, right? You have to actually put it in people's hands. So it's two parts. One is building all the tooling necessary to let apps and entrepreneurs have an easy time of building apps. And of course, we're the first entrepreneur to get advantage of that. That's the advantage of a first mover. We're going to take advantage of that. And we're building this tooling so that it's inexpensive to make apps. It's safer to make apps. And those are big things, inexpensive and safer to make. And then the other is the XO wallet, which is actually putting it in people's hands. So there'll be the XO stack, which is all of that tooling that makes everything possible. That's going to take us to the next level. And then the XO wallet, which is, hey, look, here it is in your hands. Let's start using it today to do smart contracts, finance, vault, family wallets that are shared with your family, and all kinds of loans, or, like Moria protocol, which you were talking about. All the things that you want to do, you can do it easily with this and safer than you can today. And the nice thing that we have is we have the benefit of hindsight. We can look back and look at what happened in Ethereum, where it took off and had, absolute dominance, just completely took over with tooling, the number of people involved and so forth. But they also made some big mistakes that are very hard to correct after the fact. And we can look at those and say, let's do better than that. So we're aiming to do what Consensus and others did for Ethereum, except learning from their mistakes and making it even better.
Wow, that's exciting. So inexpensive and safer to make apps. Inexpensive, I understand from this, is easier. People can produce more things, right? It's
well, an analogy is good for anybody who's in crypto. An analogy would help. People who aren't won't really understand it. But if you're in crypto and you remember Ethereum back in the day, it was the world computer, and I think I heard that some people still call it that. I don't know, but it was a big, no, it was a small pile of nerds working on things, and it was all very technical, extremely technical, hard to work with. You had to pay people literally like annually $1 million salaries to do things because they were so rare, so hard to find, that such specialized knowledge. That's not, a sustainable way to grow an ecosystem. And of course, the ecosystem there developed over time and became very sophisticated. Um, so that whole process happened on ETH, and the same thing is going to happen here. But it's important to remember, right? You don't compare two things that are not the same, right? The way Ethereum started was extremely expensive, extremely technical. If you didn't know what you were doing, you were absolutely hopeless to really do anything there. But today it's easy, and people can just copy paste, start a thing up, have a thing working, and so that's the place that we're going to, with the addition of hopefully learning some lessons, so that we can have it just as easy for entrepreneurs to come in, build their business, and make use of permissionless money for the world.
Yeah, it sounds exactly what the ecosystem needs. And I'm really interested by this because the tooling of UTXO is notoriously more bare bones than Ethereum or ABM chains. And this sounds like a nice, important step towards getting parity for the builders on those chains. And it sounds very much that General Protocols has consensus on the eyes of becoming that for the BCH ecosystem, which I guess many of us are very happy about. So just like looking and thinking about the wallet side, so you mentioned it on a sort of a high level. Maybe you could go in a bit deeper, just about what XO wallet would offer that current wallets are deficient in. Like, what is it? How would it interact with those apps you mentioned about Moria? Just interested from a sort of.
John needs to rejoin due to a Twitter problem again.
This is what's crazy about Twitter. So if you think about Twitter, it can handle millions of listeners, and this has been done with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. There was millions of people listening, and that's an incredible feat. But just handling a small conversation with a couple of speakers, that just cacks out every time. So it's one of the miracles of the world. But John, I'm not sure if you heard the question, but if I need to repeat, it's just about just going into a little more detail about your X or Y. Oh, Uname, you've been actually quite, you've been relatively quiet. I'd love to hear more of your wonderful voice, which I somehow recognize, but I want to know what, with the XO wallet, what is it that you're really looking to offer that currently we've got a lot of wallets in the BCH ecosystem. There's a lot of competition there. What benefits, what's really going to set it aside from all the other wallets? So John mentioned in there about, it's using and tapping into that XO stack, so being able to access those tools within the app. Like, how does that look like, and everything surrounding that that's going to make this the wallet that people are going to want to download and use?
John is going to have a much more complete answer, and I would defer to him on that. But if you ask me personally, what do I care most? Like, the one thing I care most about XO is that we are going to have a much better trust model. So instead of is as opposed to right now, when people talk about DeFi and you see all over the place all kinds of there are a lot of wallets out there, but the wallets all basically operate on the same principles as the granddaddy of them all, MetaMask. So if you look at how MetaMask works, it basically works on one principle. You go to a website, you trust the website. The end. Um, like, okay, to a certain degree, like, if you are a degen, and if you are a degen just looking to make bets, and you have you go to some way, but not all the way, in terms of immersing yourself in permissionless money, and you are willing to trust a lot of other things like DNS and so forth, all the establishment infrastructure, that could be fine to a certain degree. And some other people in the Bitcoin Cash are following that model right now with just bare bones wallet connect and so forth, and that is fine. But I think personally, I think we could do a lot. We could do better than that, and instead of trusting websites, we could trust code or templates, so as to speak, in to get much better security, and also if you but that is getting a little bit technical. So basically scaling that trust to a lot of different providers. You're not locked into one website in one place, and you don't have to make the compromise that you are either locked to trusting one website in one place by one person who's signing it because you're scared, versus you just go free for all and go to all the places, and then you get scammed and defrauded. I think our vision is that you don't have to make that choice, and you can have a smooth-ish experience in all the places with reasonable security, and that is not an easy task, and that is what we're setting our eyes on right now. And so John would be able to give a more complete vision, as well as Jim, who is also here as a speaker. So
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. Jim, did you have something you wanted to say? Did you want to jump in?
No, I think you're kind of on fire a minute, so I was going to let you handle that one.
All right. So the guys doing the real work are being quiet here, but let me talk then, I guess. So that trust model that Uname talked about, that may sound like something technical or wonkish or whatever, but think about it this way. So Bitcoin Cash and general protocols have our eye on the prize, which is, right, it's not some fuzzy thing. It's not some kind of just get rich quick thing. We're talking about 8 billion people. We literally want everyone in the world using it, right? It's not some kind of turn of phrase. We literally want every person using it who is capable of using a computer or a phone, basically. So we want 8 billion people using it. Of course, that doesn't happen overnight. But when you're thinking about something like that, you're thinking about a thing that is very different from what we have today. And like we've talked before, you have to be practical. You can't just teleport to there, right? You've got to take steps to get there. But one of the things is that when you're talking about 8 billion people, you're talking about everybody. And that's like your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your brother, your sister, your kids, people who may not have any inclination whatsoever towards technical stuff, right? Where apps, using a mobile phone, a smartphone in the first place is, like kind of the limit. And so this stuff has to be so easy to use, and it has to be so bulletproof that it's very hard to screw up. And for anybody who's built systems, who's built user-facing stuff like websites or whatever, if you're really doing a good job, it looks so easy and it feels simple, and you don't really have any worry about it. You don't even think about it. Doing something at that level is hard. It's a lot of work, and there's a ton of stuff going on under the hood of whatever it is you're doing that makes it easy for you. And so that's the Exo Stack is the first steps in that direction, where we're saying you want to deal with money, you want to deal with apps that deal with money. That's loans, speculation, some kind of marketplaces, sending and receiving, saving, putting your money into a vault where you can only take it out after you've given approval, and then a week later, the money can't come out for a week, and so forth, like a bank vault type thing. All of those kind of things that you can do are possible. But to do them today requires trust in bad places, place that you don't want to put it, which is on things like website domains or anyway, the way that it works is not something that's safe. And so this is our first step, moving it that one step forward to where it becomes safer and easier for people to use, and for app developers to build things where they don't have to know all those details, and it's still going to be safe for them, and it's going to be easy for them to build.
I'm really excited by this. This sounds exactly what's required. Yeah, at the moment, I've delved into the world of tokens for the first time. It's not really my scene. I wasn't there with BCH, Smart BCH, not so much anyway. But now I've sort of gone into this world a little bit with Bitcoin Cash, and the tools are all there to have some fun today. But when using Wallet Connect to interact with Cauldron or Cash Studio, Cash Token Studio, you have to sign the transaction, and of course, to I guess 99% of the people that are using it, you've just got a load of information, and of course, there's trust here because I signed the transaction, pretty good idea of what it's intended to do. To release the tokens or to send the tokens or whatever. But if I was to try and show this to my sister or my mum, my gran or someone, they're going to be not just slightly over challenged. They're going to look at that and just laugh and be like, "Yeah, no, what is that?"
Well,
So
I can
making
give
that, yeah.
I can give the audience an analogy that's very direct, and I think anybody who's worked with a bank before can understand. So you walk into a bank, and there's this really slick guy, girl, whoever there, working at the bank, sit you down, and you're like, I need a loan for, $1,000. And they're like, sure, no problem. We can do that. Here's how it works. It's going to be like this. It's going to be great. It does what you need. And you're like, wait, but I need that. And it's like, it does that too. Okay. You talk about it and you're like, okay, this is awesome. This is going to be great. This loan is exactly what I need. And, and it works in the way that works for me, and I'm going to be able to pay it back. Everything's beautiful. And the bank guy slides across the desk to you a piece of paper, and it's just like all redacted, or it's just gibberish. It's just complete nonsense. And they're like, trust me, all that stuff we talked about is right here. You can't read it, but trust me. This is a very bad trust model, right? That's what Uname was talking about with the trust model. That's exactly how those things work today with Wallet Connect. So that's not a good place to be, right? You don't want to get a piece of paper that you completely, literally cannot read. But that's the way the trust model is today. So we've got to do better than that, clearly. And that's a low-hanging fruit that we're working on with XO, so that you don't get that. When the paper comes across the table to you, it's something that you can understand. And you look at it and it says, I'm going to make a contract for this much money with this person, and it lasts 30 days. And, these are the terms. And those terms that are written there are something that you can trust. And I could get into why you can trust that, because that's really important, why you can trust that. But yeah, does that analogy help? Like, it comes across the table, you have no idea what it is. That's a terrible trust model. We got.
It's a perfect analogy. It's a great analogy. And so basically, the way that I base my decision when signing that is, I would never put too much BCH or amount of tokens that I'm willing to lose. Because what I'm thinking about is the person whose wallet I'm using. He has got set up a company, and I'm also thinking, well, his name is out there, and his company. He basically, if he messes up with this, his company's over, and his whole livelihood's over. So that's what. So it's trust based, of course, and that trust only goes up to a certain amount. So would I stick my life savings on that? No way. Zero chance. So this is where XO is going to help with that.
And this is one of those things where what's going to be different with permissionless global money is costs come down. And that's just such a small thing, but it's such a huge thing, really, in reality. The costs of things come down. And the cost that comes down here is the cost of trust. Because for you to trust that paper that you actually can't read a single word on it, you have to have a lot of trust in that bank or whoever it is that's sitting across the table from you. And that's more or less how things are today. Really, you go to a bank and you get a contract, and shit, you better have a lawyer with you if you really want to understand what that contract says. And that's a very expensive trust model. And it depends on some very large centralized actors to develop that trust, right? That they're going to keep going and have that Lindy effect, that they're going to be here tomorrow. That's a very costly thing. And that costs society a lot to need to depend on those big central actors. And so with permissionless money and these trust models that Uname was talking about, the cost of that trust comes down dramatically, where you can get into a loan and not have to worry that much about it. You don't even have to know who the person across from the table is, as long as you know what's on that contract. So yeah, the cost of things will come down. That's for the entrepreneurs, right? The people who are entrepreneurs and they see, oh, wait, I can do the same thing that others are doing, but I can do it 10x or 100x cheaper. Huh. There's something there.
Yeah, and to add to that, so today, we sign away a lot of things when we buy stuff or just do anything on the internet or even off the internet, really. So today, if you go out and buy an iPhone, okay, you sign a piece of paper. You sign several pieces of paper, actually. The terms are pretty long. And you sign that, and then, okay, you say that, okay, I will spend the time, because iPhones are expensive. I will spend the time and read all that and make sure no shenanigans are going on. So you do that, but you can't do that every time. So you buy an iPhone today, you buy a computer tomorrow, and then you buy a graphics card the next day. You keep signing papers, and then eventually, one of them can slip in a clause that says, "Oh, by the way, you are not just buying this graphics card. You are also signing away, your firstborn or something like that," and then you're screwed. So the way we deal with that today as a society is that, okay, then I will go to a court and engage in a multi-year lawsuit with you that says you can't have me sign away my firstborn. That is expensive. That is really expensive. What if when you sign away a paper, the first time you can see that, okay, this thing follows some rules that says, okay, I am buying this thing and I have some warranties. And then the next time you sign, you can say that, okay, I'm signing the same type of paper. The price and the product differs, but it's also about some warranty and not about some other weird shit that I would never expect in here. That is an improvement. It brings the cost of everything down dramatically, especially trust. So,
And I know you don't have time, but I don't care. I'm going to jump in before you can stop me, Fiendish. So another aspect of this for the entrepreneurs and people out there who are thinking about building, who see some potential here is, again, the costs coming down, like Uname was talking about, not only the cost of the trust, but the cost of resolving conflicts. All of those kind of costs can come down. And then another cost that is going to be insane. This is going to change. This sounds so stupid, but it's going to change everything, is that when you want to enter one of these loan contracts, like I was using as an analogy, with what Uname is talking about, you've got a standardized, maybe you've got 100 different standardized contracts, but let's say you've got this one particular one that you think is a good one. That contract is super standardized. Anyone can use that. You don't have to have a bank use that. If you use that contract with me, you can use the same contract with a giant bank. You can make the same contract with, somebody halfway around the world that you've never met before. You can make that contract because it's standardized. You know exactly how it works. And this is, standardization is just one of the bread and butters of modern economy. You standardize things, you make them extremely cheap. Everybody knows exactly how it works. Now you don't, all of those costs have come down. The cost of I could keep going on, but all these costs keep dropping here. And this is where you get into the, to disrupt the system, because fiat is probably the most heavily entrenched system. And it's very well known that to disrupt and compete with something that's well entrenched, you have to 10x, you have to 100x, you have to do 1,000x better than they already provide for people to really consider trying something else. And these kind of cost cutting is one of the big places where there's an advantage that centralized systems just cannot compete with without guns, basically. But, we'll see how things go. But so for people considering getting into it, these cost reductions are really a significant thing. They're not a sideshow.
Cost reductions not being a side thing. If only one side of the Bitcoin crew understood that. Yes, and it's critical for mass adoption. And as you say, it's not just about like being slightly better than fiat. That's not going to cut it. So it has to be an entirely new thing. It has to be like notably better and more useful, more practical, easier. All these things, so that we can get those 8 billion people using it. I've missed out. It's a really important thing. Fiendish shout out number one from Bruno. AriaVPN.net, a bunch of self-licensed cypherpunks at your service. So thanks for that shout out. It's 100,000 Fiendish, Emerald, well spent there. If you want to have a Fiendish shout out live on air, you just send 100,000 emeralds to myself. But to come back to that point, I know we're over time. But it's really important, I think, to think about what actually trustless means. So I hear this, I've read this quite often in Telegram. Hey, this is trustless. Well, why is it trustless? Well, it's because it's open source, right? But have you actually read the open source? No, but I'm trusting that someone else has done it. It's like, well, and without any sense of irony there. And of course, like open source, yes, someone can read it. But the reason why, when I'm looking for software for the Mac, for example, I've got a Mac now. I'm a Windows guy historically, but finding like certain apps is really difficult because on the Windows version is not, well, it's normally just Windows. It's not on Mac. So then I have to find some obscure code that's on GitHub. And it's open source. Does that mean it's trustless? No, of course not. I don't know. I can't vet it. I can't trust it. And so that's why it's really good when you have this sort of, mainstream products that are open source, because there's a lot of people that are looking into this, but you're still trusting the people that know how to look into that, to do that, and then to flag it when some things there is odd. So this idea of trustless, I get the feeling people have a misunderstanding or misconception about this, because in the end, nothing's really trustless. You can just make it more trustless. And what I love about the idea behind XO is to standardize this, to have this put in a format that everyone can understand, and that they know that this is like based on, there's a contract model which is standardized. So if there's any changes to it, well, it's not going to fit anymore. So I guess it wouldn't even show up in your wallet. It was just sort of something that would be accepted by it. And this is, for me, this is absolutely a critical next step, or a stepping stone towards where we want to go. There's 8 billion users of Bitcoin Cash. So yeah, this is a great proposition. I'm really looking forward to seeing some more news about this, which is the really important question I guess loads of people, if not everyone on the call, is waiting for, is when are we going to see XO Stack release and the wallet? Is this something we can expect this year, or is this beyond 2025?
Oh, what'd you say? I couldn't hear you. Anyway, I saw this thing from Mathieu on. No, it's it'll come when it comes. No, we're not gonna put dates on things because you know what I said about when you work with something that's very simple and very safe and it's so easy to use. Either that's for a builder or an entrepreneur or for a user. There's a lot going on in the hood, and that's something that we're working on right now. Is all those a lot of details. So yeah, I'd prefer not to put a date on things at this point, but we will be putting out little bits and pieces as we go. And Jim and myself, Jonathan, Devprit, who's on here, we're all working on it every day. Harvey, who's also in the audience there, is working on it. We're all working on this every day. So we will be releasing some pieces to let people participate in it, because it's all going to be open source as we release it, right? So yeah, we'll be getting there over time, but it's not something I want to put a date on.
Fair enough, understood. So you mentioned a couple of people. There's Depra, he's also a speaker. James, I haven't got the second name there, or Augustus. and you mentioned someone else. So these are also now. Are these? Are you guys working with General Protocols? Are you contracting? I'm just looking at the website. I'm not seeing your name, so assume you're new to the team. Different, yeah.
But for me, I work under
yeah.
different names. So yeah, and I've been with GP for probably 2 years, 3 years maybe. But yeah, no, I've worked on like a few different projects for GP.
Yeah. Anybody who knows how much work Jim has done in BCH and for GP, and hearing him say a few different projects is, maybe, well, at least 225. It's definitely the biggest understatement of 2025 so far.
I can't really see the picture, but is this the Jim that's on the website, or not? Okay, I guess
that'll be me. Yep.
Oh, right. Okay, then yeah, I do know. Yeah, of course, you're a very busy man. Then now I've drawn the dots. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. And Death Threat. Then I guess. So that was James who was speaking before. Yeah.
The picture I have on my profile is not it's not really me. Just a writer. Yeah, I've been I've been working with GP from more than a year now. Mainly on BCH Bull, on the BCH Bull app, trying to implement some stuff to make it to work flawlessly. Connection monitors, some new features, etc. The early settlement functionality. Recently I also was representing the company on the BCH Argentina conference, which was great. And I mean, it's been an honor to to be working on GP with such amazing people and colleagues, and learning all the time, learning from them, because they are extremely intelligent. I respect them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's glad to have so many people working from General Protocols on the call. And yeah, the time's cracking on, and we need to wrap it up. But my final question to all of you: will you be attending BCH Bliss? And if not, I want a full understanding why not.
Some of us might. I got my ticket. I applied to be a builder for the conference, so I got builder. Well, because GP is sponsoring, right? So we have the ticket for it. But yeah, some of us may be going. I don't want to say who all's going to go, but yeah, we'll see. Because there's potentially another conference, right? There's a second conference. There's the one in Australia. There may be one in Argentina again. So
wow, there's so many. But listen, everyone that's listening, for those of you like me, I've got a huge bet. It could break me. I've got a bet that we're going to sell 150 seats. And so I need personally as many people to turn up there as possible. Otherwise, I might have to sell my house. I think it's 100 euros something. The bet it's pretty big. So no, I want everyone to go to BCH Bliss because it was an amazing conference, and having so many great-minded people in one room, in one space for a couple of days, for me that was really such a great experience, a humbling experience. And I'm convinced as well that having so many people together in BCH network, it allows the growth of the community. It allows for new businesses, new enterprises, new collections of people to come together and push forward with their ideas. But it's also, I want to see that growth. So last year, I think it was 70 tickets were sold. So if I'm keep me honest. And this year, I'd love to see a good doubling of that, because I'm sure anyone that has seen BCH Bliss from last year or spoke to anyone that went, the feedback was enormously positive, and which is why it's being held again. So love to see General Protocols there in all of its glory and force, and hope to see as many of the listeners too joining. Tickets should be available.
It was a fantastic conference.
It was a fantastic conference. I can't believe you've already got tickets. Just because you're sponsoring it. That's outrageous. I feel completely pushed out here. So I need to speak to
Hey, all
Jonathan.
you gotta do
Where's
is
my ticket?
200 million volume and you're in. That's all you gotta do.
That's okay. That's no problem. I'll look at doing that this afternoon, just after tea time.
Go for it. Get on it.
All right, so the time is well past. I think I have to make it an hour and a quarter. So we're well past an hour. So it's the time for the end of Fiendish and Friends, episode 7. So thank you so much, John, Uname, Dev Perret, and Jim for coming and joining today. It was an absolute pleasure. Hope you enjoyed it too. For all you listeners, please make sure to follow all of the speakers on Twitter, and including their business handles at General Protocol and also BCH_Bull. If you want to speculate your BCH or hedge against gold, BTC silver, along with several other assets, then please check out bchbull.com. The links to all the websites are in the comments to this spaces. For all your listeners, if you enjoyed the show and want to show your appreciation, please feel free to drop some BCH or a Fiendish token into our wallet. The cash token's address is in the description of our Twitter profile, and there's also a QR code in the comments. The next episode of Fiendish and Friends is at 1 o'clock Central European Time next Friday, and it's featuring Goblin Cash's founder, Jacob Stelzer, to talk about BCH DeFi, perpetual options, Panoptic, and Goblin Cash. Can we get that onto BCH? Let's see. Just make sure to pop some Fiendish tokens into the jukebox and hit play to convert tokenized Fiendish time into an entire 60 minutes. I guess 60 minutes plus would be more accurate, of the greatest Bitcoin Cash news and updates with the, sorry, shit, I've seen cheapies snuck in here. The second best news for Bitcoin Cash and updates with the most important players in the crypto scene. Have a fantastic 2025, all you P2P Cash monsters. This was Fiendish and Friends, and I wish you all a good morning, a good day, a good night.